the questions that people are Googling about babies. Some of them are pretty hilarious and some of them are exactly what every new parent needs to know. So today, I'm breaking down the most Googled "why do newborns" questions and then giving you real expert-backed answers along the way. But first, if you are new here, welcome to Diana in the Pink. My name is Diana. I'm a physician assistant and I specialize in women's health and in gynecology. I'm also a mom of 4, and on this channel, we talk about pregnancy, women's health, and babies. So make sure to subscribe, share this video with fellow mamas with babies, and now let's get into the video. So when I made this board here, I was actually gonna start off with the number 1 searched "why do newborn babies" question and then work my way down. But I just decided just now that I'm actually going to do the opposite. I'm going to start at the very bottom and then work my way up to the number 1 searched "why do newborn babies" question. So you're going to want to make sure to stick to the very end so you can find out what people are wanting to know the very most. So here we go with question number 10. Why do newborns sleep so much? So newborns do sleep a lot. Like typically a newborn is going to sleep about 16 to 18 hours a day, and that's because their bodies and their brains are growing at an incredible rate. And all that sleep helps with brain development and physical growth. Enjoy this time though, because babies start to sleep less around 6 to 12 weeks as their brains mature and they spend more time awake and alert. And then by month 3 or 4, they start to sleep fewer hours total, but they often have longer stretches at night. Next question, why do newborns, why do newborns breathe fast? So newborns do breathe fast, faster than adults, a lot faster actually. Around 40 to 60 breaths per minute, while an adult typically breathes about 12 to 20 breaths per minute. And this is because first, their lungs and breathing muscles are still developing. They're getting used to breathing air instead of amniotic fluid. And then their lungs are just smaller, so they have to take quicker, more shallow breaths to get enough oxygen for their body. And sometimes their breathing isn't even regular. They have pauses and then they breathe fast. Sometimes it can seem scary, but it's actually pretty common in newborns, especially when they are sleeping. Now their breathing does even out as they grow. However, if their breathing seems consistently labored, make sure to talk to your pediatrician. Next question, why do newborns need a hepatitis B vaccine? So the hepatitis B vaccine protects your newborn from a serious liver infection that can lead to lifelong health problems. Babies are especially vulnerable. If they get exposed to Hep B at birth or shortly after, they have a much higher risk of developing chronic liver disease. That's why the CDC, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the World Health Organization all recommend newborns getting their first dose within 24 hours of birth. Even if a mom tests negative, the vaccine adds an added layer of protection in case of unknown exposure, and it trains their body's immune system to fight off the virus from the very beginning. Next question, why do newborns okay, why do newborns stretch a lot? I love the baby stretches, especially right after you unswaddle them after they've had a nap. But newborns stretch for a few very important reasons. First, they've been curled up in that womb for 9 months, and now that they're out, stretching helps their muscles and joints to loosen and to grow. And when they stretch, it helps boost circulation so that they get more blood flowing through their bodies. Plus, like adults, stretching can help relieve tension and increase comfort. Plus, it just feels so good. And it's also part of how babies explore and gain awareness of their bodies. So those adorable little stretches are actually a healthy sign of growth and development. Next question, why do newborns? Okay, legit, why do newborns cry so much? Crying is a baby's main way of communicating whatever they're feeling: hunger, discomfort, fatigue, or just needing to be cuddled. It's completely normal. It's their only way to communicate. So don't be too hard on yourself if you can't always figure out why your baby is crying. But if you're worried about your baby excessively crying, make sure to always discuss that with your pediatrician. Next question, why do newborns smell so good? That reminds me of a video that I made a few years back of my newborn. I spent a solid 30 seconds, I'm not joking, 30 seconds just smelling my baby on camera. And then I posted it. It's kind of silly, but I was just showing her off and then I smelled her and then I couldn't stop. Anyways, so it's easy to assume that moms and dads just automatically love everything about their babies, which we do, including their smells, but there's actually science behind it. Newborns smell so good because of a combination of their own natural skin secretions plus vernix, that white coating that they are born with. And for me, also that spit up smell I've always liked. Researchers believe that newborn scent help parents and caretakers to bond with their baby more. And believe me, it works. Now, some studies show that smelling a newborn activates the reward center in the adult brain, similar to how food activates the reward center. Now, sadly, newborn smell fade after a few weeks, although it might be kind of weird if it didn't. Next question, why do newborns why do newborns smile when they're sleeping? When newborns smile in their sleep, it doesn't mean that they're dreaming about something happy that's making them smile, though that is a sweet thought. When they smile in their sleep, it's mainly because of reflexes and brain development. Newborn sleep smiles are cute. There's no doubt about that. But their smiles are similar to any other involuntary movements that they make when they're sleeping. It's also a sign that their nervous system is maturing and practicing how to control facial muscles. That being said, it is still incredibly adorable, and I spent countless hours trying to snap pictures of my newborns sleep smiling. As their nervous system matures, these reflexes turn into real social smiles around 6 to 8 weeks. Next question, why do newborns... Why do newborns vomit after feeding? Vomiting or spitting up is so common. When I had newborns, if I didn't have spit up somewhere on my body by the end of the day, I wondered what was wrong. And I actually grew to like the smell of spit up. I know that's weird, but that's just how it was for me. But anyways, it's so common and it happens for several reasons. One, newborns can spit up if they are over full or if they swallowed a lot of air when they were feeding, which puts extra pressure on the stomach. But spitting up can also be caused by food allergies, infections, or something called pyloric stenosis, which is where the muscles at the lower end of the stomach narrows, which prevents food from passing through to the small intestines, which leads to forceful vomiting, also called projectile vomiting. And if you notice that, especially if your baby isn't gaining weight or has fewer wet diapers, make sure to talk to your pediatrician. Another common reason might be something called GERD, which is basically when stomach acid and undigested food flows back into the esophagus and then out. Now for the second to most highly searched why do newborn baby question is, why do newborn babies get hiccups? Hiccups are totally normal for babies, and they actually get them a lot even before they're born. Now, hiccups happen when the flat muscle that's in between the abdominal cavity and the lungs, it's called the diaphragm, when that muscle spasms. And spasms cause the vocal cords to quickly open and then close, which makes the sound. So, what causes the diaphragm to spasm? So for babies, eating too much or too quickly can cause it. Swallowing a lot of air can cause hiccups, and then also a change in the temperature of what they are eating can cause hiccups. And that's all perfectly normal, but there is one cause that you should be aware of. Hiccups are sometimes a symptom of something called GERD. We just talked about it, which is when the stomach acids and partially digested food flow from the stomach back into the esophagus, which can cause some burning and discomfort. Now, since the esophagus passes through the diaphragm can get irritated, leading to hiccups. Now, two things to remember here. First, usually hiccups alone aren't caused by GERD. And number two, if your baby is diagnosed with GERD, which is very common, it is pretty simple to treat. Now, finally, the most searched question about why newborn babies is, drum roll, why do newborns get jaundice? Okay, last question, and we're getting kind of technical here. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what jaundice is, it's when a person's skin and eyes appear yellow. But to answer the question of why newborn babies get jaundice, I'll need to give you a very quick physiology lesson. So red blood cells typically last about 120 days before the body breaks them down. One of the byproducts of broken down red blood cells is called bilirubin. Now stick with me because this is really important. The liver usually processes the bilirubin, but when the baby is first born, if their liver isn't fully developed yet, it can't keep up with the baby's bilirubin, and so the bilirubin levels go up. And elevated bilirubin causes the skin and eyes to turn a yellowish color, and this is what is known as jaundice. Now jaundice is pretty common. It starts about 2 to 3 days after a baby is born and then peaks around 4 to 5 days, and then it usually goes away on its own within 2 weeks. Now if the bilirubin is really high, your pediatrician might have the baby spend time under a blue light, which chemically changes bilirubin into a form that the baby can excrete, bypassing the immature liver. So in a nutshell, while the liver is maturing, the blue light helps the liver to keep up with all of the bilirubin. So that is it. We have just gone over the top 10 most searched "Why do newborn babies?" questions on Google. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And listen, if you do like this video and you'd like to see more of this style of video, let me know, because there are a ton of "why do" followed by medical questions that I would love to be able to answer for you. So let me know if this is something that you enjoyed. And if you want to see more of my videos about newborns and babies, I'm going to link to my playlist right here. Click on that, check it out, and I will see you over there.